Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you have never seen my face before, my name is Candace. I make all types of content, mostly beauty and fashion and lifestyle. So if that sounds like something that will float your boat, you should definitely just subscribe. So today I am going to be talking to you about primers, everything primer related. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, just go ahead and keep watching.
Every time I see you, get a feeling like I'm so high. Tell me, am I dreaming? How the hell you looking so fly? I just got a meaning when I looked at you today. I got problems, baby, and I need you to save me.
Okay, so got the notebook out, y'all. You know what that means. That means that I have notes. So I get so many different questions, comments, etc. on people not knowing what primer they should get, what primer they've tried. They can't understand why certain primers aren't working for them, and you know, let's just try to clear up a couple things. So the first thing is that I always say is kind of the most important thing is know your skin type. If you don't know your skin type, you're not going to know what's good for, what you should stay away from, etc. So first thing before you get into any other products, before you even get into the products, you have to know your skin type. For me personally, I'm rare. I'm a normal skin type, not to brag, but so if anything, I prefer normal to dry. It's not especially dry, but I usually just say like normal to dry because I like hydrating things. So for me, that means I can kind of use whatever, which is nice, but if you are oilier, drier, mature, all of that, I've got tips for you as well. Okay, so the first tip, or the first thing that we are going to talk about are textures of primer. Okay, so like when you feel it, rub it around before you even put it on your face. We're going to talk about the textures that are kind of out there. I will say the most common ones are silicone based, water based, and then there's like a water based gel kind of a formula that's really for like mattifying. So typically these are all going to feel a little bit different. Silicone is going to give you like a smooth, supple, I hate that word, and it's going to give you a really soft kind of a finish, whereas something that's a little water based might get you just a little bit of like the tackiness, but it's still good because it's going to grip your makeup. And then there's kind of like the chalkier or the matte. My lighting is going to get weird because I'm filming in the daytime and I don't typically do that. Anyway, and then you're gonna have like your mattifying ones, which are those water-based gels that I talked to you about, which is gonna be like chalky to like a matte texture. Okay, you're probably like, Candace, all right, I know textures of primer. How does that help me? Because I don't know which one to use. Got you. Okay, so I'll tell you which types are good for what. Now, silicone. Common misconception that oily people can't use silicone because they don't like the greasy feel, but silicone primers, some of them actually still have like a little bit of a water base to them, so it helps to kind of like regulate the oil production in your skin. So oily skin types can actually use silicone based ones. So oilier combination skins, you can totally use like silicone primers. Those are still going to fill in any like fine lines. They're going to fill in any kind of like pores that you're going to get, because you're typically going to get bigger pores when you have oilier skin, and it's just going to smooth it all out. So don't be afraid of a little silicone. Now, water-based primers are going to be for more of your drier skin types. I typically go for more mature. I usually put it on more mature skin types. I don't know why I'm using this hand so much, but I feel like it's my emphasis hand. So your water-based ones, I would say, are going to be for, yeah, you can do it for combination skin. That's totally fine. Oilier skin types can use it, but it might not hold up against the oil production as well. And so yeah, more mature clients, drier skin types, combo dry is what I would typically gear that towards. And then obviously the mattifying primers are going to be for really oily kind of skin types, just because it's really going to help to absorb that oil before it comes to the surface and breaks up your foundation. So I will give you some suggestions on what foundations I personally like, which ones for which skin types that I own, have tried, tested, used, all of that. So make sure you stay till the end to see which ones I am going to suggest to you. So now that we know there's silicone primers, water-based primers, how do we know which is which? So this is the easiest thing. You're going to look at the ingredients. Now, granted, there's going to be a whole list of stuff that you have no idea what it is, that I have no idea what it is, but typically anything silicone is going to have something ending in cone in the first couple of ingredients. They all kind of start off with water, or an ane. So it's going to end in like an one or an ane, like silicone, a dimethicone, a siloxane. I wrote it down, but maybe it's called siloxane. Something like that. But basically those are going to hint to you that those are silicone based primers, whereas water based primers typically won't have any of those, and if they do, it'll be really far down on the ingredient list. So now that we have been talking about how to determine what base a primer is, let's talk about what foundations you use with it. So you're obviously going to use primers and foundations with the same base to them. So if you want to use a water-based primer, you want to use a water-based foundation. Silicone primer, silicone foundation. The exception to that rule though is, I say, for mattifying. Sometimes you can overly mattify, dry out, and tighten your skin so much to the point where it overproduces oil to make up for that tight feeling. So I personally don't suggest using a really mattifying primer with a really mattifying foundation, because then it's a little too much. You still want it to move and feel like skin, you know? So this is another thing that you're just gonna have to check, like product and ingredient list. Eventually you'll get to the point where you can kind of just feel and know what it is, just because anything with like glow, radiant, hydrating, etc. are all gonna be like water based, whereas natural sometimes, and then like mattifying and oil free are all gonna be ones that are gonna be typically geared towards more oilier skin types. All right, let's talk about application. Okay, I am guilty of doing the influencer thing where you just drip it onto your face. It's not the best way to apply it. I know that. Still do it. Might not change. But the correct application would be to actually work in the product, and you actually probably need a little less than you think. I would say a pea size, like the actual vegetable pea size, to a dime size for your whole face. Let's get into the primers that I suggest, and then I'll kind of like go with you on how you want to apply it. So I have 3 for drier to normal skin types. I've got 2 for normal or a combination skin, either. And then I've got 3 that are typically more for like oilier that I like. So the first one I have is the Huda water jelly. Obviously that's water based. So this one is nice because it feels like a moisturizer, so a little bit goes a long way. This one gives you a little bit of like a tackiness, not nearly as much as like Hydro Grip, but it gives you just a little bit of tackiness, and it also is going to add a lot of hydration. So I like it because anything that you put on top of this is going to obviously stay in place. It's going to look really natural as well. So the next one I have is, my bottle looks super ratchet, but the Too Faced Hangover RX Primer. It's an oldie but goodie. This one has coconut water in it, so it is going to be nice and hydrating. It smells good and coconutty. This one feels actually even more so like a moisturizer. I don't even know why I'm rubbing it in. Like you can't see the difference between this. But this is feels more like a moisturizer. Once again, it has just a tiny bit of like that tackiness to really grip your makeup. This also helps hydrate, so I really love this one for mature skin types because it helps to kind of like buff out the fine lines and wrinkles and things. A lot of the times, if you use, I found personally from just doing makeup, is that if somebody has more mature skin, I like to really hydrate it first and give more of like a hydrating primer with just a tiny bit of a tack, as opposed to something silicone, because something about it is just a little bit too heavy, I find, for mature skin personally, that I don't like the way it sits in mature skin. So I personally don't put silicone on anyone over the age of a certain age. I'm not gonna even say no. But that's just my personal preference. And then one of my favorite ones that you guys have seen me use a lot is the NYX Bear With Me primer. So this one is gonna be more of the radiant primer. A little bit, you see, of like, kind of like a glow to it. this is what you want. You want the glow because this gives you a natural, hydrated kind of a finish. Okay, so these two are kind of more so for anybody that, let's say, actually prefers that silicone kind of a feel. It can be your combination skin types, it can be your normal skin types, it can just be a preference altogether. So the two that I have for that is the Morphe Equalizer. Love this stuff. I love it because although it's a silicone kind of a primer, I find that it's really thin. So it just, like, it's silicone-y, but it's such a thin kind of a silicone that you don't even feel it, and it doesn't even feel like you have like a residue, which is why I say that's good for like combination skin, just depending on whether you have that drier patches or just oily and T-zone, whatever. It honestly, it does what it's supposed to, which is equalizing. So it helps hydrate the drier parts and it helps regulate oil production on the oily parts. And the next one is the Lancome the Base Pro. This one is real slip and slide, thick. She is a thick, where are we? She is a thick silicone. Like, something about it just feels a lot thicker. So yeah, if you are worried about like texture really and pores, then this is a really good one just to kind of fill that in. Oh, it does feel nice. I do love a good little silicone primer sometimes. I'm not even lying to you, it does feel nice. So yeah, if you just prefer those textures, those are the two that I would suggest. And then as far as some of the ones that I would suggest for oilier skin type, the Fenty Beauty, like the original Pro Filter Primer. Is that what it's called? Yes, the Pro Filter Primer. Love, 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 love this one. It looks kind of like creamy and it puts you in the mind of the other primer, of like the hydrating primers, but something about it having that soft matte texture, a little bit of the tech, gives you the smoothing properties, and it helps to control that oil. So yeah, so that is just a good, it's just a good all around one depending on whatever skin type you have. But I do like this one on oilier skin. Now the last one that I have for like oily, like a combination oily, is the Cover FX Blurring Primer. So this is going to be the thickest one out of all the ones I have shown you. This one comes in like a, I don't know what you would call this texture. Okay, so it's like this chunky kind of a texture. So this one is really pretty as far as blurring and smoothing. So it really fills in, God, I wish you could see my hand. Like, it really just smooths and fills in any like finer lines or pores especially. Like I said, I probably still wouldn't put this on like a mature skin, but I would definitely put this on somebody that is oilier or concerned about pores. Oh, I have two honorable mentions as far as if you are just to say, let's just say you're crazy oily. I have two honorable mentions. So the first one is going to be, I don't even know if I should suggest it considering they're like, you know, going out of business or whatever, but the Becca Ever Met. That one's a really good one. That one though, you are gonna have to really press into the skin as opposed to rubbing it around, then it's just gonna break apart on you. But that one is super, super good for controlling oil. And the other one is the Boscia one. I have to find like a picture or a name because I can't think off the top of my head what it is. But that one, if you put that all over your face, do not put that around your eye area because that will, it will dry out like everything. Okay, so be careful with that. Also talk about why we use primers. So a lot of people say that if you prep your skin well enough, which I feel like a lot of professional like celebrity makeup artists say the same thing, if you prep your skin well enough, you don't need, it's such an easy step. I just don't see the point in skipping it. Like if you're doing like, if you're going to a wedding or you're going out and about or you know, anything, you might as well just have that extra step to where your makeup is probably gonna last a little better. You know what I mean? You put base coats before you paint. You put base coats before you like paint your nails and stuff. It just makes sense as to why you would wear it. I think if you're having a problem with primer overall, you're probably just not using the right one. So hopefully you will start to use the right one given all these tips and tricks that I have given you. I think that is everything as far as just finding that perfect primer for you. So if you like these tips, tricks, if you like these kind of videos just breaking down everything, just make sure you let me know in the comments below. If you made it this far, give me a thumbs up, subscribe on your way out, and per usual, thank you for watching, and I will go ahead and put some videos right here for you to click next. Bye.